everyone, I'm Izzy, and today we're going to be making vegan banana bread. I feel like banana bread is one of those staple recipes that everyone loves, and it's always great to have around. So I feel like it's important to kind of have a go-to recipe that you feel comfortable making all the time. So today I'm going to be sharing with you my favorite vegan banana bread recipe. It's super easy to make. You make it all in one bowl, and there's not a lot of ingredients. So let's get started. You start by preheating your oven to 325 degrees, and then we're going to just lightly grease our little loaf pan. I'm using just maybe a teaspoon or two of vegan butter to grease mine, but you could also use a cooking spray, you could use coconut oil, whatever kind of grease that you have on hand. Honestly, I just use my hands to kind of spread it around, but if you have like a paper towel, you could use that so you don't get your hands all dirty. You want it to look about like this, and then we're just going to set it aside and use it when our batter is all finished. So next we're going to mix up our vegan egg, and so today I'm using this Bob's Red Mill vegan egg replacer. That's just the one that I feel most comfortable with, but you can also use flaxseed or chia seed. Those both work really well. So on this one there's directions. So we want to use the equivalent of 2 eggs in the recipe. So I'm going to mix 2 tablespoons of this with about 1/4 cup of water, and then we're just going to let it sit for a few minutes and it will thicken up really nicely. So the reason that I prefer this particular egg replacer is because it's light in color, so it's not going to make your baked goods really dark, and it also is mild in flavor. Some of them, especially like chia seeds, can have kind of a strong flavor sometimes, and I prefer this one because it doesn't add that. So we just whisk it up. And then we're gonna set it aside and let it thicken up for a few minutes. So this vegan banana bread recipe is also a 1-bowl banana bread recipe, which means that rather than mixing the dry in one bowl and then the wet ingredients in another bowl and combining them together, we just mix all of them in one bowl, and it makes cleanup much easier. So usually you would start by measuring out the dry ingredients first, but since we're just using one bowl, we're going to start by mixing up the wet ingredients. So the first ingredient we're going to use is bananas. So when it comes to banana bread, the riper the banana, the better, and the sweeter your banana bread is going to be. So you can see these kind of have some dark spots on them. They're pretty soft, so these are pretty perfect. You can also use frozen bananas, let them thaw just a little bit, and mash them right in. So once you have your bananas peeled, you can just add them all to the bowl, and you can either mash with a potato masher or you can mash with a fork. And another reason you want them to be pretty soft and ripe is because they are much easier to mash that way. You want to mash the bananas as well as you can. If you leave them too chunky, it's going to be more like bread with bananas in it rather than a banana flavored bread. So this is pretty good for now. So next we're going to add in all the remaining wet ingredients. We're going to start with melted coconut oil, and you want it to be cooled to room temperature about. I melted this about 20 minutes ago and it's been sitting on the counter since. So another thing about coconut oil is if you don't want your baked goods to have any coconut flavor at all, make sure you buy refined coconut oil. Or otherwise, if you get unrefined coconut oil, it's going to have a little bit of coconut taste, which actually might be kind of good in banana bread. So now we're going to add in our vegan egg replacer that we mixed up earlier, and you can see that it has thickened up very nicely. So this is the exact texture that you want it to be. So next we're going to add in our vanilla extract, and you want about a teaspoon. Then we're going to add in our almond milk. I like to use plain unsweetened almond milk, but you can really also use any other plant-based milk you like. You can use oat milk, coconut milk, cashew milk, or really any other plant-based milk that you prefer. Next we're going to add in 1/4 cup of pure maple syrup, and this just adds some nice sweetness. And next, even though it's not a wet ingredient, we're gonna add in our coconut sugar. Okay, we're gonna whisk everything together just with a hand whisk. If you wanna use an electric mixer, you can, but it is not needed in this recipe, which is another reason I love this recipe so much. Okay, once it looks like this, we're gonna start adding in our dry ingredients. We're gonna add in 2 cups of flour. Today I'm using all-purpose flour, but you could also use a mix of white and whole wheat or all whole wheat if you like. Okay, next we'll do 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, and you can also do more or less if you like. Just a pinch of salt, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and half a teaspoon baking soda. Next, we just mix everything together until you have a nice consistency in your batter. So this is the consistency you're looking for. You don't want it too liquidy, nor do you want it too dry. So this is perfect. So lastly, we're gonna pour it into our loaf pan that we greased earlier. And it's good to use a spatula for this so you can scrape the sides down and get every last bit of your batter. Then you can use your spatula to just kind of smooth out the top a little bit. And then we place it in the oven and bake for about 55 minutes to an hour. So when your banana bread is all finished baking, you want to leave it in the pan and let it rest for about 20 minutes or so before we transfer it to a wire rack. And a few ways to know that your banana bread is totally finished cooking. It's going to be firm to the touch. You can stick a fork in it and it comes out all clean. And you can see it's just starting to kind of get golden brown around the edges. So this one looks perfect. Once you've let your banana bread sit in the pan for a few minutes, you can take a knife and just kind of go around the edges. Since we did a good job greasing the pan, it should come out pretty easily. And as long as it's cool enough to touch, you can kind of just use your hand or you can use a plate. And it should come out really easily. From there, you can place it on a wire rack and let it cool completely. Now, if you do cut into the banana bread right away or before it's fully cooled, it might be just a little bit gummy inside, but I promise if you let it cool completely, it will be perfect texture. Ideally, I even like to bake my banana bread in the evening and let it cool all night long, and then we can enjoy it for breakfast. Once you're all ready to enjoy your banana bread, you can transfer it to a cutting board and start slicing. This vegan banana bread really is the best banana bread. It's perfectly moist, it's not gooey at all, and it has the perfect amount of bananas and sweetness in it. So if you want, you can definitely make this into muffins instead of banana bread. Just scoop the batter into a muffin tin and cook for about half the time. And now I kept this banana bread plain today because that's how we like it around here, but to mix it up, you could also add chocolate chips, walnuts, peanut butter chips, a swirl of chocolate, a swirl of peanut butter, really anything that you can think of that would be good in banana bread. And if you are adding in anything, you want to add it in when the banana bread batter is completely finished and you're about to put it in the pan. Just stir all of the additions in. Also, if your family likes banana bread as much as mine does, I would definitely recommend making a double loaf when you make this. I know that this loaf stays around for about 2 days in my household because between myself, my husband, and my 2 little boys, we just eat it up. We like it for breakfast, for snacks throughout the day, and even for dessert. There's definitely no wrong way to enjoy banana bread. I like to put a little bit of soft butter on mine, and I know a lot of people who like to put peanut butter on theirs. It's also great heated up for a few seconds in the microwave or on the stovetop. This vegan banana bread really is a big staple at our house, so I hope that you and your family enjoy it as much as we do.